Hello, friends. This is Manoj here once again from Market Ideas for Profit. And we're going to analyze the charts like always on the weekend. And the analysis is going to start for the Nifty futures chart. And we're going to use the fair value gaps, which to me tells me everything that I need to know about what the markets are doing, besides the volume profile tool, which also is something that I use. Now, today I'm going to use what the fair value gap concept to tell me what the chart is looking up, what is the chart structure, where are we headed, and everything else that can help us form a bias. Now, this is a bias that we are forming. We're not trading on it. We have slight bias, slight understanding of what's going to happen, but ultimately we trade according to what we see on the chart. With that said, this is the situation on the monthly. We have crossed the last month's high, which was at 24,669,670, which was the last month's high, and we are well above it. So reading the chart price intention, we are definitely heading higher. And the next point that we're heading for is 26,058. That's the first reaction that I get from reading the price action. Now, there's nothing on the monthly to tell us that there's some resistance on the monthly chart on the top because there are no fair value gaps. We have a fair value gap on the bullish side, which is something which we took support in the month of November and moved right up. We got a beautiful bounce in the month of November after touching the lows of 23,280 odd, and we have gone up ahead. So we are again looking bullish. Let's go down to the weekly and see what the weekly is telling us. On the weekly, again, we took support in the fair value gap. We've created a fair value gap, in fact, in the month of November with the third candle. And what's happened in the first 2 weeks of December is that we've gone to the bottom, tested 24,200 odd once again, 150, 200 odd, and we have jumped back in this last week to cross the closing high of the last week. So that's bullish for me. That's very good, and we've done well in the last week. And what we see is that we have the next resistance sitting on top from a zone of 25,400 stretching right up to 25,800. It's a 500-point zone, which is where the resistance lies. The resistance lies in the weekly chart. And interesting because that could act as some kind of resistance for us in the coming days. Let's look at the daily and get some more micro view of what's happening on the Nifty. And here what you see is you have a few areas which will act as resistance, but the first resistance that's coming our way is 25,323, which is 500 points away. Now, in the immediate context, the moment we cross these resistance points, we should be heading higher, and we see no resistance till this level of 25,300. That's a sweet spot to be in. And the moment we cross these two small resistances, which I think we will cross because we have shown great momentum in the last week, and we should be heading for this magical figure of 25,300 in maybe by the end of this year, if not in the next week, because the activity will slow down as the year comes to a close, and we might have a little bit of a drop in volatility because the amount of people participating will go down. This week will be active, maybe the next week will be more inactive. So 25,300 is something that can happen in the coming week or before the year ends. That looks like a very good possibility. Let's go to the 4-hour and see what's happening there. So we are immediately in a zone in a fair value gap which was on the bearish side, but this fair value gap has pretty much consumed. It has been consumed, so there's not going to be a strong fair value gap. As you see here on the one that is above this fair value gap on the bearish side, there's one more fair value gap coinciding with about 25,140, which again has been gone, and it has been respected. But with these kind of respects and having gone penetrated so deep, there have been some good falls out of that fair value gap. But I think the sitting orders, the idle orders there would have been consumed. So again, we're looking at not very really strong levels there, and we can stretch ourselves to a level of 25,340 given the structure on the 4-hourly, and this would be our next target. And what happens tomorrow if we open gap up? We will begin to form a new fair value area, and The new fair value area would start from here, depending on how we perform tomorrow. I think we will create a fair value gap, and once you create a fair value gap, we will know where we sting into at the bottom end and where do we go higher. So the moment we cross this threshold, which is actually the target that we have right now. So this is my first target. 25,940 is my first target for the day. The moment we go up and sustain higher, we will go higher on every breach of the next swing high, which is going to be this swing high, and then the next swing high will be this swing high. So these are the swing highs that will be our targets for the coming period, coming sessions in the next few days. So we could take this as the ladder where we are going to face resistances. And in our ultimate quest for 25,000 for 340, these are going to be the interesting points which we will need to, these are the hurdles which we need to cross as obstacles to that target of 25,340 in the immediate context. So this is what we're seeing on the Nifty. I'm not going to go to further minute details because it doesn't make sense. Okay, let's go down to a 5-minute and see what's happening. So on the 5-minute, what we have is a beautiful level here, which could act as something that we could bounce from. So this, if we face a little bit of a fall, this is where we could bounce from and target this level of 24,935. So the trade could be that we would take a entry here. We would take our stop loss somewhere around 24,750 odd, and that could be the target could be around 24,940. So that's a 130 point gain that we could look at immediately from this setup. This is something that we could get tomorrow itself if we get to a level and we mark this. I'm going to use my alert system to give me some alert here. So this is a long trigger that I'll get from this level. Great. Now let's go to Bank Nifty and see what the Bank Nifty has in store for us. So we'll go to the Bank Nifty chart. I'm going to remove all the drawings that I have. I have 44 drawings. I'm going to remove all of them to give you the study. So what are we seeing on the Bank Nifty on the monthly time frame? Beautiful. We've seen multiple bounces from this fair value gap. See how this fair value gap is so important. It has given us multiple bounces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In each of the 5 months of the last few months, we've tracked down to 50,300 and we've had a bounce from there. How important this area is and how many people are sitting to buy here. There have been a lot of buying orders here on the way down. If this gets broken, mind you, we will face quite a fall, and that could take us to 42,000. If we break 50,000, we are looking at a 15-20% fall down by the looks of it. So on the monthly, we are looking at, we are literally at the cusp of the high closure in the month of October. We've crossed the month of November high, and we are sitting pretty much at the high of October. And our immediate target is the all-time high, which is at 54,666, which is just 1,000 points away from here. Nothing much. 1,000 points away. The banks are doing really well. The banks are doing better than Nifty because we are closed on October highs, and the only thing to breach now is the high that we made in September. So the banks are doing really well. Let's look at the weekly scenario. And in the weekly scenario, again, we have no obstacle on the top. We're doing really well. We've done excellent, retracement. We went down in this particular week last week, but we have reacted very strongly from the lows and gone on right to nearly close just near where we closed the week before. Let's go to the daily and let's see what we have here. So daily, we are trying to overcome this resistance on the daily level. And we've been hammering this resistance for like 5 weeks now. And every time we get into this, we are weakening this level. Every time we are pushed down, we come back. And this time, last week, we pushed really down. Last week, we were pushed really down on Friday, but we bounced back beautifully, showing that there is some really good interest of buying at this particular level here, which is again something that we can mark as a good support. So 52,500 is acting as a very important support. We got a beautiful bounce from there, and we are now somewhere close to 53,600 odd. And in most probable scenarios, given the strong uh, bank movements, 54,665 is coming. We've been sideways for the entire last week, and we took a dip on Friday and we bounced back. Now this bounce is significant because it shows the bears that there's some strength right at the bottom, and they've not been successful in throwing us back down. The bulls have again charged back high, but yes, the resistance still lies at this 53,650 level, and unless we cross it, we may not be able to get to that 54,600 odd number. But imagine if we take a significant gap up tomorrow or make a jump above this 53,665 level, 1,000-point jump is something that's coming, because given this action from the bottom, there are a lot of people who may have been trapped here. If they try to take some stuff, they try to take a short because we breached this level, which was an important level, and if they're trapped, this was basically nothing else but about short covering. And there are a lot of people who are trapped here, and that is the reason we got a shot up right now. Because of the short covering is why we are seeing this action. And if people are still trapped and they haven't gotten out, if we see some action, a gap up tomorrow, that should be very, very difficult for other people who are trapped here to stay in. And everybody who went short will have placed their stop losses here, especially the guys who are looking at long-term short trades. They will have placed their stops above this level. And if we go above this level, open higher on Monday, that is tomorrow, it will trigger a series of stop losses, which will propel us to 54,665. That's my scenario. Now let's look at the 4-hour chart and see what is happening here. We have a significant volume gap here. We have a significant volume gap here at this level, and that is where we stalled the last time. So this price level is going to be important. 54,100, 54,000 to 54,100 or 200 is going to be a significant area. Before we reach 54,660, 680, we will obviously need to cross 54,100. But looks like that if we are able to cross this volume gap, it will propel us to 54,685 in a very quick time. Believe me. Tomorrow is open, and tomorrow's price action will tell us what is our outlook for the 54,685 area. Now let's go to the 5-minute and see if we can find out if we have something that can give us a quick trade tomorrow. Well, it depends on where we open. We have actually taken a little bit of a breakout, but the last 3 times the breakout was attempted, it failed, and then there were a number of other failed attempts. But significantly, what has happened on Friday is that we came down to test the level, and we are going up. So I am very emboldened by this prospect, and I think we have a good area to go long, and this could be the trade that we could get in with, and this could be our target. Let us aim for maybe 600 points. Let's aim for this swing high as our first target. So what are we going to do? We're going to take this area. This is going to be our entry price. Okay. And this is going to be the stop loss area that we're going to look at. And there's one more level that we need to mark, which is going to be our first target. So we can get a 300-point jump if we go to 53,600. A small retracement back in could give us a jump. In fact, I could go a little lower. I'm fine-tuning my entry. Maybe we could go a little lower. 53,600 odd could be our entry, and 53,900 could be our first exit. This looks like a probable scenario building up for tomorrow. Maintain 53,475 as your stop loss, because beyond which, if it goes down, if it doesn't take support at this level, we definitely then are going to fall, which can take us way lower and down to about 52,500 once again. But that is not something that I foresee happening because of the great push and the great momentum that we've shown in the Friday's move. So 53,605 is your trigger. I'm going to trigger it for me, crossing down. This will be a long trigger for a small short trade, long trade tomorrow. And this is something, if I see prices open higher and sustain over this level of 53,650 for half an hour, the initial volatility, then I may take half my quantity at this level or above it and reserve half my quantity if I see a fall to 53,605, which is quite possible. So that's it for this video. Nifty and Bank Nifty covered scenarios, looking bullish, looking strong, hoping for a flourish to the high for the year end. Thanks a lot for watching this video, guys. Look forward to being with you in the next one.